Thank you, Boo. Um, I guess, insight of what I'm going to talk about. Um, so in this conversation of dopamine versus oxytocin and Mercury retrograde and paying attention to how you feel and all the things, yada yada, that we've been talking about for the past couple weeks, I've noticed a level of ease that I was not prepared for, and like sitting with my emotions and how I've been navigating spaces of difficulty a lot easier. And I guess it's been a little unexpected. I'm usually very like introspective. I'm usually doing the things, doing the silent walks, the journaling, and all of that. And I haven't been doing that lately. And that's what I was talking about a couple weeks ago of like my routine or my rhythm has been off because I haven't really been doing all the things. But in me paying attention to that, I've noticed because of like reorienting, I guess, myself in relationships, I no longer have to. That like I was doing so much, I guess, to emotionally regulate because of the dynamics I was in, that it required that. And that now that I'm kind of only regulating myself and my emotions and like my house and my kids, it's a lot more easeful than I think I am used to. And I'm getting used to like having more room and more, I guess, emotional bandwidth than I'm used to. And that's exciting, but it's also like eye-opening. So with the Pisces new moon, how this ties in and like me realizing my baseline. And I made a post earlier today about knowing your emotional baseline. I didn't really talk about that in particular, but this is what came up after I posted that video. You need to know your emotional baseline because that's going to give you information as to how you show up in relationships, what you offer in relationships, and how you emotionally regulate. So in this conversation of oxytocin versus dopamine and paying attention to how you feel has really been about getting information about your baseline. So if you know your baseline, when you fall below it, you know the exact things that will bring you back to baseline. And when you float above your baseline, you also can kind of get the gist of how to expand your capacity to where like this is your new baseline. So for me, in these last couple of weeks of realizing I have more ease, I do think I have elevated my baseline, and now I'm having to find my rhythm at this baseline because I've expanded my capacity in a way, because I'm not focused on co-regulating. I'm not focused on everything outside of me like I feel like usual. And so this has been eye-opening. And I think with this Pisces new moon, one, Pisces always asks us to go internal because Pisces is the last of the zodiac. And so it kind of is the finisher. And because it is the finisher, it is where we get to really understand our baseline because it's internal. So your internal baseline is always going to reflect back to you your external. And so with even like the symbol of Pisces is the koi fish. And they're usually like yin and yang with each other. And with that, if you create a new foundational emotional baseline, so will your external. So as above, so below, as within, so without, that type of thing. And so if we have all been kind of doing our homework over the last couple of weeks and really paying attention to how we feel, it does give us enough information to re-envision our baseline, if that makes sense. And even if what has came up in the last couple of weeks has not been maybe as easeful as mine, and you're seeing the ways that you may need to learn how to emotionally regulate through certain emotions, because I think it does go either way. I personally feel like I am learning to regulate through ease and not have to work so hard, versus for other people it might be a different emotion. So like for me, I feel like the emotion is more so peace and calmness, versus, if you notice, you've been more frustrated, you've been more angry, you've been more irritable. Those are the emotions that you are being asked to, like, do you want this to be your baseline? Because a lot of times when anger or frustration or all of those things, that's our home emotion, it is just because that's the emotion you feel most comfortable with. And so you go to it. So if that's the case, now you have that information, you get to ask those questions of, do I still want this to be my own emotion? Do I still want this to be my baseline? Or am I willing to expand? Now, hey, Ariane. Thank y'all for the likes and the repost. So these are things that we can, dive deeper on. But because Pisces is coming up for the new moon, Pisces also ends this week with spring forward. We'll be entering Aries season. And we'll also be closing out Mercury retrograde. So all of these things are kind of coming to a close this week. And where's that book? I just started reading. I read this book before, but I just started reading it again. Or started over, should I say, because I have a bad habit of starting a book and then not finishing it. I'm so excited about the energetic shift too. I'm excited about what is unfolding for not just me, but like I feel like everybody that I'm in community with, like it seemed like things are shifting for everybody. So I was this book, I don't have the cover on here because I was in a bathtub and it got wet, but it's The Way of the Rose. And it was, let me find it. The last passage really stuck with me. I'm gonna just read the last paragraph. It says, in nature, resurrection isn't an exceptional event. Resurrection is everywhere. This isn't a tenet belief, but an abiding truth. We discover ourselves for more time we spend inside of the mysteries. Beginnings are arbitrary, endings are temporary. This is the fundamental teaching of the Rosary. The end is just another beginning when a mother is in charge of the world. So if we look at Pisces as the ending, we already know Aries is, the start of the new year. It's the start of the zodiac. But if we look at what we've learned over the last couple of weeks of like, okay, this is information, this gives me closure, this gives me clarity, this gives me insight, we also get to take charge of creating anew. That like we don't have to just wait for the new beginning. That everyone in here, I'm assuming, is a woman and therefore a mother in some sense of the word. I think you're a mother even if you don't physically birth children. If you have a womb, you still have the ability to create, whether it's a child or something else. That with that you get to change and create and transmute. which also ties into the workshop that I'll be doing April 6th. We'll be talking more about the wisdoms of the womb and how to work with your own mother energy through the Akashic Records. And that'll be exciting, but I'll talk more about that later. But that's really what I got from the little insight of, this feels a lot easier. And I'm excited to see like what flourishes from this new ease that I feel, and being able to emotionally regulate a lot easier. I didn't make as many notes as I usually do. So let me know if y'all have any questions. Other than that, that's kind of all I came on here to talk about. I'm excited that Mercury is wrapping itself up. Though I like Mercury retrogrades. As a Virgo, I feel like I always get clarity during Mercury retrogrades, and I always relate it to like cleaning out my closet. Like, do I like cleaning out my closet? No, but I love when it's done. Everything is organized. It's pleasing to the eye, and I feel put together when my closet is put together, because that's usually the area of my house I'm neglecting. And so I think of Mercury retrogrades as the same as, like, it just gives us a pause to like reevaluate where we are, because like I said before, Mercury retrogrades and all of the delays and chaos that it could cause is really a reflection of us. And maybe if we're disassociated, if we're not fully in our body and we are just kind of winging it, great things happen for me during a retrograde for sure. Yeah, me too. I was actually born during Mercury retrograde, so that's always exciting. Another way to work with this Pisces new moon is to see where Pisces is in your astral chart. So I don't have any planetary things in Pisces, but Pisces rules my 6th house, which is all about like service, but your home life, your routines, health, wellness, your body, which are all things that have also came up during this Mercury retrograde. And with this newfound ease, I've realized that I do have the capacity to like now just focus on me. And so rearranging my routines to not be as introspective, but now like physical. So I was supposed to get up and go to the gym today, but I didn't. So I might go after work, but I hate going to the gym in the afternoon, so I might start tomorrow. But my focus in having like more energy, I'm going to put that towards physical stuff instead of internal, which is exciting because I feel like I've done enough internal work. I know we're always healing, we're always growing, we always got things to do internally, but I think for the past, I'd say 9-10 years, I've done a lot of internal work that I am over it. They're like, I don't mind journaling, I don't mind doing all those things, but also I think where the ease has come from too is those are just a part of life now, that like I don't have to really force myself to do those things either. Over it for sure. Just how I say, like, the body keeps the score on trauma, the body keeps the score on healing too. So I notice now I don't have to fit into my schedule to journal. I don't have to fit into my schedule things that give me oxytocin, because literally I will just do it. Like it won't even be something that I feel like I have to go out of my way to be intentional about. Like, I will make a bath before I even know I feel away. Because usually baths and taking showers is how I process my emotions. And I may not even really realize I'm sitting with something until I'm in a bathtub already. So now it's just become a part of my flow and my routine, that's not the areas I need to focus on. It's more so like my physical health, how I eat, my routines as far as like working out, even being more because I hate saying discipline, but moving my devotion to physical things. So even like showing up here, I said I was going to show up every Tuesday and Thursday. I didn't have like a whole laundry list of things or a whole like planned out live to do, but I'm still going to show up here even if it's 30 minutes, an hour, whatever. And, keeping my word to bring my internal things into reality. It's like it's always something to learn about yourself. I'll be like, damn, something else. Man, I'm always like, is this everybody? Like, does everybody experience this, or is this just me? Because I feel like even in some of the relationship difficulties I've had, especially over the last year, is like, do God be on your head? Like I feel like God be on my head, because like low key I'm tired of being the bigger person. And like even when I'm wrong though, when I say being the bigger person, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm the more mature or more well put together. But I feel like even when I'm wrong, God points out like, this is your work. And it's like, is everybody not getting those those I always say Jesus be slapping the back of my neck with his sandals. Only those who are doing the real work. Yeah. Even that of like, only those who are doing the real work. When it comes to jealousy, I've said that before. I be jealous of people who don't feel called to do the work. They're like, and I know it's the thing of like, ignorance is bliss, and like once you take off the rose colored glasses, you can't put them back on. Get it, got it. But sometimes I do miss being in ignorance is bliss. Do I want to go back there? No. But I do miss before. I feel like I was aware, because you just don't care, honestly. Like, you're not thinking about this type of shit. And there is a level of like joy there and freedom in that. And that has also taught me a lot too, that like, this ain't for everybody, and maybe it is more loving to leave people in their ignorance. And when I say ignorance, I don't mean it in a bad way, but like, it's simply just not knowing. Like, maybe it is unloving to show people a part of themselves that they're not ready to work on. Hey, Darlene. I believe ignorance is a divine assignment as well. I do believe that, because you know why I believe that? Because I believe narcissists also have a divine role. And I feel like people who have experienced a narcissist would be like, what the fuck you talking about? But I think in my experience, and I think the men that I have experienced, or I would say even women, that I've experienced that hold the reality of a narcissist, because I feel like we all, have narcissistic traits, but like only people who have really, really dealt with a narcissist, and I mean like a for real, like not just traits, but like, no, this person is narcissistic. Like, I'm pretty sure they've been diagnosed. I think it is also a divine assignment. I think to the degree that you have experienced a narcissist is the degree of your self abandonment. If you self abandon, you will encounter narcissism. The word means duality. Yeah, because I think with narcissists, they're extremely selfish. So their selfishness is going to match your selflessness. So both are teaching each other about what they need to learn. So a narcissist needs to learn how to be more selfless versus an empath, which I also don't like to think of it as an empath, because I think everybody is empathic, especially narcissists. You know how skilled a narcissist got to be on energy reading to seek out their prey. They're very empathic too. They are just not using it in the same way. They're using it to their benefit. But on the empath end, they are too. And that's something early on when I started doing readings, I would have a hard time like showing people who the average people pleaser and the average person that is like, I show up for everybody, like I'm being taken advantage of. In readings, I've had to show like, but why? Why are you a people pleaser? Why you show up for everybody? Why are you so loving? And it's because it benefits you. It benefits you to be needed. It benefits you to be seen as this savior. And so when you scale it back, you're doing the same thing a narcissist is doing. You're also not being your true self. And so also that can release you from the idea that you're a victim. It can also free you from this idea that you're only love and light. That you're only love and light. No, you gotta own that, okay, perhaps I'm also manipulative. Hey, Tan. And I've said this before, like telling somebody that they're manipulative, that has this identity around them that they are a good person, is harder to tell somebody that is maybe darker, that they got some dark shit about them. Telling somebody that considers themselves all loving and angelic that they also got demons is much harder. It's actually more refreshing to tell somebody who thinks they are a piece of shit that actually these are the loving qualities about you. These are the things that you could embrace that would bring some light in. That is actually a lot easier. Because also, if you're already on the dark end, you already are kind of in a dark space to where you would embrace the light. Someone who is only focused on light is not going to want to embrace darkness. And I had talked about that on Friday when I was talking about psychosis. Too much of anything will lead you astray. Even being too love and light, it's not a good thing, because we need harmony. You may not need balance, but you do need harmony. So you're gonna have to embrace the other side at least a little bit. At least it gotta, even if it's 75-25, cool, find your harmony in it. But if you think you only finna be love and light and you're only a good person, I think you're also going to experience a lot of darkness, because it's going to constantly come up as a mirror of like, this is you too. And I think that is hard to face. We are all human. And that has I think that is something I will probably consider as a gift for me. That like I can hold the duality of a person well, because I hold my own duality well, but also a lot of people think Virgos are judgmental, when I just think Virgos are more analytical. So like we're actually looking for understanding. So like if I'm judging you, it's only because of I'm trying to get clarity on you. It's not because I'm necessarily judging your actions. I'm trying to figure out who you are. If that makes sense. And because of that, me knowing that that is a gift for me, is also why I made that post earlier about I know I bring emotional regulation to people. I didn't know that before. And this is why I'm saying, like, now I'm realizing how much easier it is to just regulate myself, because I'm not going out of my way to do that for other people. Like now I feel like I've created boundaries for myself. That's what I was going to get at. I realized the boundary isn't for other people. The boundaries are for myself. So like even going back to narcissism. If you experience a narcissist, the boundary ain't for them, because narcissists don't respect boundaries. They don't give a damn about your boundaries. They're gonna cross them. Just because you said that's a boundary. They might not even give a damn about what you're talking about. They gonna cross it just because, oh, you think you gonna create some restriction that's going to keep me away. The boundary ain't for them. It's for you. And because most empaths, or just for the sake of this conversation, the empath narcissist dynamic, the narcissist is banking on you feeling the need to heal them, feeling the need to be loving towards them, feeling the need to show up for them. The boundary ain't about them, it's about you. Will you be able to sit with your own love, your own care, your own support, and turn it inward? You do that, the narcissist will leave anyway. You wouldn't even have to put up no boundary. They would leave all on their own, because what they're getting, the thing that the narcissist is attracted to is you not having no boundary, and that like you're not even aware of how much you're giving. You may not know what you're giving. You're not aware, because the hard thing about that is more than likely it's energetic. Emotional regulation is not something you can. If I went to everybody that I felt like I co-regulated and I was the baseline, they wouldn't know what I'm talking about. Because it's not something I can say, oh, I did this for you, I did that for you. No, because it's energetic. And because it's energetic, if you don't know your own energy, you don't know your own output, you're not going to be able to put any boundary on it, because you don't even know what you're giving. So I think too, that's why I've been in isolation so long, so that I can really identify my own energy and my own emotions separate from other people. And me realizing that, it's like, oh, even in terms of like the work that I do with regressions and even with readings, most of the insight in readings you already know to a certain degree. You've already seen the signs and synchronicities. Your subconscious has been looking for this information anyway. Like with readings, I always say, like, your subconscious just chose somebody who could relay the message to you. These are things that you already know anyway. But even in me delivering the message, it's not because I'm just such a good psychic and I'm just so good at reading people. It's my ability to emotionally regulate, so that I'm telling you something, but I'm also holding space for you, and I'm also co-regulating you at the same time so that you can receive the information. I'm just holding the space so that now it can settle. And in times where which, not to say like that, but not that I know of, I've never had a reading that didn't resonate with the person. But say for whatever reason the reading didn't resonate with the person, it may not be because it wasn't true. It would be because I couldn't co-regulate them. And in those instances, I think a lot of the times I may not be able to co-regulate with that person because whatever came up may have also triggered me. And that's an emotion that I also don't do well with. But I think when it comes to doing spiritual work, it would be hard to come across people like that anyway, because I think the people who come to you you guys are already energetically aligned anyway. Which is why, like, if you are, I say this all the way around in terms of like, not just in spiritual cases where you're seeking out a practitioner or a healer or whatever, but also with like coaches and therapists and mentors and stuff like that. Only go to people that you really feel an energetic pull to. Because if you just go to somebody because your friend went, or because somebody told you about this person, but you don't necessarily feel an energetic resonance with it, it probably won't be as helpful. Which also has, I'm excited to see, now that I'm realizing this about myself, that this is what I'm offering to people. I'm excited to see who I end up attracting as clients too. Because I also think like the last couple of years in me really doing a lot of nervous system healing and emotional work has been that so I could show up in this way and actually be of service, because I don't think I would have been as great of a guide or healer if I'm also battling my own shit and not able to offer that co-regulation piece either. And so like in sessions, I also have to be able to have a good relationship with a lot of emotions, because that's the field that I'm working in. So bringing this back to baseline, if you are a service provider in any way, a healer, or any of those things, your ability to expand your baseline will also expand your territory. Territory? I feel like I said that wrong. Y'all know what I'm saying. It will also expand that. I believe, or at least that's my theory right now. We'll see how this unfolds for me. But this is something I was thinking about. Because I've been doing spiritual work for the past, like, maybe 4 or 5 years. And I think it's been limited because I have had to focus on me. And so I'm excited to see what that looks like now that I am not having to focus so much on internal shit, and that, like, now it's actually shifting into external. So I feel like it's kind of a flip now, which also ties into the Pisces new moon of now reestablishing and re-envisioning your baseline and how that also reflects outwardly. And I think so many people are having to do a lot of shifting because of the year of the fire. I mean, not year of the fire. What is it? Fire horse? I think that's really about to be activated. Hey, lady. With Aries season. I feel it. I feel, yeah, fire horse. I feel like things are picking up. And because I move slowly, like, moving fast kind of scares me a little bit. Because I like to move slow, again, because of that Virgo, like, analyzing and being analytical. I feel like going slower gives me more clarity and insight. Like, I think that's why Virgos are so proficient, is because we won't make a move until we know for sure. I won't talk about something until I feel like, oh, I really know this. I'm not going to bring a conversation to you until I didn't made all my bullet points. I have enough information. I didn't, even if it's an argument, I'm not going to bring it to you until I feel like, yeah, for sure, you done had me fucked up for real. So, like, by the time I bring it to you, I didn't did all my research. I done got all my screenshots. I got all my receipts. So if you try to gaslight me out of that, you know, power to you. Words keep me grounded as a whimsical air sign with a water moon. I got a water moon too. I feel like my Virgo placements ground the rest of my placements, because most of my placements are Libra, which is why I think I bring harmony to so many things that, like, I need harmony. Like, I think more than most. So, like, this is why I see things in the lens of polarity, and that, like, I can't just lean towards love and light. I can't just lean all the way to darkness. I gotta be able to find my balance in that. And because Libra is in my chart like 4 or 5 times. What does it mean to have a water moon? That you feel deeply. And I think just naturally we're more tied to the moon. Like, my moon sign is Cancer, which is moon energy. And so this is also why I follow the moon this way and why I track my periods this way. Because I know I'm emotionally in this, like, roller coaster of emotions all the time. And because of my Virgo placements and like me being so grounded, I think before nobody probably would have, until I started to embrace more of my cancer, nobody probably would have thought I was sensitive because I was mean. But people don't realize mean people are mean because they are sensitive. Mine is in Pisces. My moon is in Cancer too. Also, my daughter has taught me a lot about embracing my moon energy because she's a Cancer. And so she has triggered me in a lot of ways, and that has broken me open emotionally in a lot of ways. Like, I've talked about this probably a couple months ago, but lady, this relates to, I was thinking about this with that conversation we were having about the mom talking about her daughter. Girls in particular are going to show you your emotional age and how you emotionally regulate, and how well you emotionally process. I think all kids do, but especially with girls, because boys, just because of how society is set up and the relationship with their father, all of these things, boys don't show their emotions in the same way. I think regardless of society, just our energetic makeup. Women, like I always say, like we're taught, we're always changing. We're always being pulled in different directions because of the moon and our connection to our womb. But because of that, girls are also doing the same thing. So here you are being pulled and tugged through the emotional tides. And so are girls. And when my daughter started her cycle, it was like, oh, yeah, this is ghetto a little bit. And because I was having a rough time with her, I was having a rough time with myself, especially because the years that I didn't have my mom were these years. I went from 13 to 17 without my mom. So those are the years that would have, but I also think that was for a reason. She could not have helped me in those years. And so a lot of my emotional work happened in those years. Because I couldn't abandon. I could have. I ain't gonna say I couldn't have, but I chose not to abandon my daughter, and by not abandoning her, I had to face I can't abandon myself either. We gonna have to figure this thing out, and we are still figuring it out. But I do think we're in a better place in figuring it out. But the first couple years were really rough because they'll show you your emotional arrested development. So typically the years that you are having a hard time with your kid is because you're emotionally stuck there. So for me, it was, about 11. So now I got to go back to my 11-year-old self and say, what did you need at 11? Not what she need, not what did I need so that I could give to her, thinking that what I needed at 11 is what she needs at 11. No, I got to go back to give myself what I needed and remother my 11-year-old so that I know how to work with her so that I can understand her. I can't understand an 11-year-old if I'm still 9. And so, like, even in that video with that mother and her frustrations with her 7-year-old, Probably emotionally, she might be 4 or 5. You're not going to be able to teach, guide, and mother a 7-year-old if you're emotionally 4 or 5. Y'all not y'all not even having the same conversation. So like even now, if I'm having trouble with my daughter, okay, what did I need at 16? How can I do my work with my 16-year-old self so that I can hear what the 16-year-old is saying? Because 38-year-old Valerie is like, what? And to be a mother, you have to be an alchemist. To be a mother, you have to that's the agreement. This is why I think motherhood is shadow work. And so with a lot of women choosing not to be mothers, I respect it. And I also think maybe you don't have that much shadow work to do. Yeah. If it's safe, hopefully. Because sometimes I feel like TikTok saves and then sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I think motherhood is hard work. So I salute women who know ahead of time, like, nope, don't want to do that. I just want to do my own work. And I think too, women who choose ahead of time not to be mothers also is saying, I will come home to myself by myself. I don't need children to walk me home. Can you expand on that? Expand on what? Can you be more specific? And so to me that's inspiring because that was not my experience. I did need my kids to walk me back home. And for that I thank them. That like my kids have ushered me back to my curiosity. My kids have helped me heal, even not in the ways of healing me or regulating for me, but I feel like a lot of my work has been because I don't want to fuck them up, or I don't want to cause more harm. Because again, I became a mom at 17. A lot of the ways that I started in parenting were harmful. And now when it comes up, I gotta sit in it. I apologize. I ask, how can I show up now? Like I feel like I'm always apologizing to my oldest. Like, I wish I would have chose to heal sooner. I wish I could have been this mother that I am to your siblings, to you. But also, my way of giving myself grace through that is that we chose this work. Because I also believe kids choose their parents, just like I chose mine. Even in my mom not being in my life the years that she wasn't in my life, divine. Literally, I think I'm overbearing, trying to protect her from the pain that I experienced. You know what I have noticed, or this is just from my perspective on those who might be choosing not to, in the parallel of shadow work and motherhood. Okay. I'll go back to that. one second. So what I've noticed, and in the trying to protect your kids and trying to have them never experience what you've experienced, you also fuck them up in that. That you can't protect them from everything. And I've talked about this even in terms of like you can't protect them from the woes of their other parent either. Some like I would say for myself in particular, especially with my oldest son, trying to overcompensate because his dad wasn't a part of the picture. That also, I think, sheltered him. I think that also sheltered him from the reality that he does have one parent. And like, there is some grief in that. There's some anger and resentment in that. And if I don't allow you to feel that grief, and that's where the co-regulating comes in, is that I have to know how to process and deal with grief in order to help my child grieve a parent that's not here. And because most mothers can't, because they also don't have a good relationship with grief, I'd rather overcompensate. I'd rather overdo. I'd rather try to shield you from that pain, thinking that you'll never experience it. They're going to experience it. They'll either experience it at 2 and 3 in the years that they think about that parent, or they'll be processing that grief at 33, thinking about all the ways that what it would have been like, what their life would have been like had they had that parent. There's grief in that too. Versus y'all grieve together, you do that grief work. At least when it comes up at 33, they're not just now having to experience grief. They have a better relationship with grief. They know how to handle themselves through grief. They know how to care for themselves in a way that's quicker. Because a part of emotional regulating isn't, oh, I have all these practices, so now I'm emotionally regulated. Hey, Megan. And so I'm not going to experience that no more. No, your recovery time just gets faster. Like I was saying earlier in the live, it's not that I no longer need the same tools. I don't need the same tools in the same way, because a lot of the time the body keeps the score on healing too. Before I know I need to journal, I done already picked up a pen and paper intuitively, because my body and my mind knows, okay, there's something I need to figure out. There's something I need to express right now. So in the midst of me writing something down, and I might be thinking I'm just about to pick up my notebook to write down a quick little note. But now I know I need to journal. I'm going to journal, because my body now knows, okay, this is the tool that helps me with this emotion. Let me go do that. I'm feeling a way, even though I haven't acknowledged that I feel a way yet. Let me run me a bath. So now it ain't even, oh, I have all these laundry lists of things that I do to care for myself. No, it's just a part of life. And if you teach your children early how to work with their emotions when they get 25, when they get 33, when they get 40, it won't be as hard as it is for us right now. That's the hope, is that I am helping you navigate difficult emotions now, so later in life it comes natural to you. Because we can't shelter our kids from pain. Pain is a part of life. Grief is a part of life. Loss is a part of life. There is no sheltering them from that. Even sheltering them from you, of like, I'm gonna be this way with my kids, and I'm gonna be that way out in the world. No. Like, then when they become adult and y'all don't have no relationship, it's because all their life you've been this mom that like maybe it was loving, maybe it was nurturing, but they didn't get to know you. So now in adulthood, where I don't need all these hugs and kisses, I don't need all this nurturing, I don't need all of that. Now I need a friend. I don't know you to be your friend. These battles are many and hard to decipher also. When I say protection, I feel like constantly in teaching mode, which seems overbearing. The teaching mode too, I think, is being willing to trust what you have given, because, and this is hard. This is something that I talk to with my friend Jameer all the time. She's a positive parenting coach. There's a lot of things that your kids also are going to need to learn on their own. And that is hard when you didn't get, I guess, proper parenting, and like you had to learn a lot of stuff, or you was over parentified as a child. You want to tell your kids all the things. You want to be all the all the wisdom that they're going to know up into adulthood, because you had to learn all these things out on your own. There has to, again, have to be some type of balance and harmony with that, because there are going to be things that they're not going to want to learn from you, because that's not even what they chose you as their parent for. When I say kids choose their parents, again, I've learned this from spiritual work. So like, I've done Akashic record readings to where the person wasn't even pregnant yet, but their child came through and said, this is why I'm coming through. This is why I'm choosing y'all as my parents. It had nothing to do with what we think motherhood is or what we think fatherhood is. They were coming through of like, you have this type of skill. I need that for my own life lessons and for my own path. A lot of the time, it's not because, oh, you're going to love me into the person I'm going to become. Loving me into the person I become is actually kind of extra. For myself, in order for me to fully come into my purpose and what I am here to share and do and guide people with, I needed neglectful parents. As bad as that may sound, a lot of the awareness that I have in the skill set that I have now as an adult is because I was left to my own devices as a child. There was nobody that was going to usher me into this. Versus for my children, what they have came here through me for may not actually be because I'm just a phenomenal mother. What they came through me for is because it will help. A lot of what I know is my purpose and my kids' connection with me is communication. That's just my skill set. As someone who believes children choose their parents, I agree. There are specific reasons they choose you. And even with I think absent parents. That's why I said, like, kind of see if you got a deadbeat baby daddy, it might be a gift. That child might have said, I need that genetic makeup. I don't need you. Which is why I think, like, when there's an absent parent, I think it would have only further dysregulated the child. It would have only altered what they came here to do. And so A lot of times when parents are absent, it is by design. And that's why I think, like, single mothers, and I have to remind myself this too, because I also had a weekend where it's like, I guess this is the work. But as single mothers, and you trying to take your baby daddy back and forth to court, you're trying to force parenting on him, you would be better at redirecting that energy you're trying to put towards him, towards getting some money. Honestly, the support may not come from him. The support, you might have to buy support. You might have to have enough money to do things that would emotionally regulate you, so that you be the emotional baseline. And personally, I think kids will help you with that, honestly. Think about, as children, we don't have to think about bills. We don't have to think about none of that shit. But we're also naturally abundant. The expectation is that I'm gonna eat every day. The expectation is you're gonna provide a roof over my head. And in that way, I like to think of God as their baby daddy, as the baby daddy. Is like, I got kids to feed, make a way. So I think you get a lot further with redirecting the energy you might be trying to, like, pull that other parent in with devotion to yourself and devotion to your kids. So, like, even Saturday, my kid's father is supposed to be moving out here. He didn't come Friday like he was supposed to. Saturday, I spent the day with the kids. We went and got the boys' haircut. We went to lunch. We went to the park. We went dilly-dallying. And I reinvested the time with them versus, like, arguing with him for what? That ain't gonna serve me or them. And I'd be better off for it. Now, I love a dilly-dally, but not with them boys. They dad did end up coming out here, so the boys are with him for the next couple of days. So me and my daughter will probably go dilly-dally when I get off work today, and go eat, which she was too thrilled yesterday. It just being us at the house. She's like, oh, it's so quiet here. I struggle with the resentment real bad. Me too. I'm saying this, but I also have to remind myself, like, literally, Saturday, I have to go back and watch the video I did a couple months ago about single mothers. Sometimes it's a gift. I got to remind myself that. So, like, I'm telling you this because this is the godly in the revelation I had, but I still have to remind myself that, because it's easy to be resentful because also being a single parent, there's a lot of self-sacrifice. And when you just want to be left alone, when you overstimulated, I don't want to go to the park. I don't want to do all of that. I probably just want to take a nap, or I want to be left alone. And I feel like the more you want to be left alone, the more they gonna be in your face. So it's easy to be resentful because it also feels like self-abandonment. But how I find harmony with that is if I have to self-abandon in a way because I'm overstimulated and I got to show up anyway, I'm going to do something for myself at some point. Whether I'm finna, okay, we could go to a park, or okay, I gotta do this. Afterwards, I'm gonna buy myself something. I'm gonna treat myself to something. And my daughter to speak her truth, which freed me because he took me to court. The whole, when, I always find it interesting when men take women to court. Not to say there's not baby mamas out there that will keep men's children from them. So in those cases, yes. But typically, it's, I don't want to deal with you. And I say this because I've been through this, getting taken to court just to waste my, just, again, this is, I was talking about this with narcissists. Narcissists will not give a damn about what you're trying to put a boundary around. They feel a way about you taking yourself back. Don't give a damn about seeing the jail. But how dare you? You think you're gonna put a boundary in place? I think in that case, a lot of people would do better instead of going to court. Give them the kid. See how quick they'll give that child back. I give it a week. Cause you only taking me to court to get on my nerves. You only taking me to court to siphon my energy. That's all. Hey, Gelpy. No, I can't. I bet he ran mine. Yeah, I feel like in those cases where men be taking women to court for the child, it's really vindictive. Again, like, I get there are women who, but I also think it works on the opposite end. Any woman that is like, no, you can't see your child because she mad, he moved on, or he went to go be with somebody else. It's to get on the man nerve, and to put him through that. It's energy siphoning. She must be blow drying her hair. Yeah, it worked both ways. I think even for women who do that, she don't realize you are digging your own grave, because you finna be overstimulated trying to keep this child from his daddy. I've never understood that. In my case, and like having to go to court, is because I feel like he was an unfit parent. Or like, even in exchanges, it would be harmful to me. That like I'm having to like risk my safety to co-parent with you. Now I feel like that's different. But even in that case, you only end up having a child from a narcissist because of your degree of self-abandonment. And what comes from that, I hate to say consequences of coming from that, will be constantly having to fight for taking yourself back. But I do think it gets to a point where you evolve out of that, but it has nothing to do with that person. So like, the more you take yourself back, the more there'll be less invested too. But it will be a fight. I don't know what you missed, but I was just saying, if you have a child by a narcissist, it's because of self-abandonment. And now you will have to fight that self-abandonment with the baby daddy, but also with the child. Can y'all still hear me? They just started cutting the grass. And it will be a fight. Sometimes they abandon the children for taking yourself back. Yeah, they will abandon it. But I think if they abandon the children, could you take yourself back? Um I rather that than have to put up with it. Because also, and you taking yourself back, okay, the man abandoned the kids. Cool. Now you can find an emotional baseline. You can regulate yourself. With regulating yourself, you also can open yourself up to the possibility of, okay, what would it take for me to flourish as a single mom? This is my ideology. They're like, okay, if I'm regulated, if I'm stable, I also have the room and the capacity now to make more money. So, like, what you were doing, I'd rather pay somebody to do. So, like, now if and I not even just with my kids' fathers, but even in terms of family, I don't have a big support system. I don't have family. Now it's like, oh, okay, I need to make some more money then. Because I'm gonna have to pay for my village. I'm gonna have to get a nanny. I'm gonna have to get a housekeeper. I might have to, pay for the things that I need. And so it's less about what this nigga doing. It's like, okay, God, cool. He abandoned us. How can I make some more? How can I get this money by tomorrow? So I struggle with my kids feeling the way I did it as a kid, feeling abandoned. Kid, with, and I'm gonna say this because I know your childhood dynamic because we're childhood friends, Crystal. If you fear your kids feeling abandoned as a child because not being in a 2-parent household, again, you're not protecting them from harm because you're also showing them to stay in a situation where their mom may not be happy. They are not flourishing. And what is that teaching them about being a woman and being in a relationship and choosing a partner? So, like, okay, yeah, they may be being raised in a two-parent household, but if you were to take your same exact situation, would you want that for your kids, your girls? And my peace of mind with that is, yeah, my kids have seen me in multiple relationships. They also know I will leave. That I will leave. I will jump ship, even if I got to do it myself. And I'm going to make a way. And I would much rather them see me make a way and know what they are capable of instead of thinking that they got to thug it out with a man. And that was my thing. Even with my mom, I agreed my mom should have left my dad. When she left, we were like, yeah, leave this nigga. Like, cool. We were more so like, you gonna leave but leave us here? Like, if he was unfit for you, what make you feel like he fit for us? So it was never about her leaving my dad. It was just like, girl, you gonna leave us too? Is that being stable in a 1-parent household? Is that being stable? It depends what you consider stability. I think a single mom can provide some stability. Will it be the stability a healthy 2-parent household could give? No. But again, this goes back to, as parents, we're not going to be able to give our kids all the lessons they're going to learn in life. There may be some lessons they came here to learn about stability on their own. I can't be the all be all end all. Can I describe stability? For me now, and I'm saying this from where I am now, stability comes from your emotional stability, how you navigate your emotions, whether good, high emotions, or low, bad emotions, showing them what stability looks like in terms of emotional regulating and nervous system regulation, that there is a baseline, that there is some stability in that. If you can learn how to emotionally be stable, more than likely the rest of your life is also going to be stable. If you know emotional regulation, emotional stability, you're going to find financial stability. Doesn't mean your finances may always be all the way up. They might fall sometime, but if you can emotionally regulate, you will be stable in life. I would say in all of the ups and downs and the leaving and the going that I've had with men, my ability to, again, find my baseline and stabilize has only been because of my emotional regulation. Not many people would be able to have left a 12-year relationship with 4 kids and just like and pick up and move to another state. That takes a lot of emotional regulation. Was it hard? Extremely. This is why I say, as mothers, the best thing you can do is offer emotional stability. The best thing you can do is teach your kids through action what it looks like to emotionally regulate. Because that will also be the foundation of everything else that you have in your life and that they have in their life, and how they will navigate life as an adult. Because sure, as an adult, we get to shit our 30s, we have our Saturn return, we realize what we don't like about our childhood, and we start to make those changes. But what could you have maybe accomplished if your baseline that your mom gifted you that you inherited was already stable? That at least when my daughter turns 29, she have her Saturn return, she'll be more ahead for sure than I was at 29. That for sure. Well, can I guarantee that she'll, not have any worries? No. I can't make it perfect for her, but I do feel like I have passed the baton. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find it. She sent me. Isn't oh she talking about superficially, but this is what she sent me. Face karma thing. Oh, telling me FaceTiming my mom, reminding her that I'm the more evolved. Let me see. What is that? I'm superior genetic evolution. So like, yeah, she's the more evolved me. And at 29, I pray that she is much further. She's already further, and she's 16. So the things that I had to worry about at 16, she does not. And even to my mom's credit, I could talk about all the things my mom didn't do, her absence also allowed me to be further along than she was. At 29, at 16, at 38. And so, in a lot of ways, her absence was also a gift. My mom used to say I'm her to the second power. Yes, I do definitely feel like my daughter is me to the second power. Like, I just be looking at her like, oh, she's so cute. Like, she is who I would have wanted to be in high school. Like, when I see her, I just think, like, she's just everything that I think I wasn't, honestly. Like, she's so confident. She's so, like, self-assured. She's so social. Like, and that too lets me know I can't give her the things that I felt like I needed as a child, because she does not need that. At 16, I don't know what the fuck was going on. At 16, I had bigger fish to fry than like being cute, being cute and being social. I was very socially awkward. I was very introverted. I was very shy, and I had, a lot of trauma that I was still navigating. That's not her worry. She gets to be free. She gets to, do all the things. And so I love that for her. Now, what the hardship in it is the things that I was worried about at 16, she don't be worried about. So, like, in terms of correction, the things she be saying to me, her attitude, I could have never said to my mama. And so it's like, that's triggering. Of like, you talking to me like that, and I'm over here trying to be mindful and think about all the things you need, when at 16 my mom didn't give a fuck about what I needed. And you up here treating me like this. But I also have to say, like, she don't care about that. She had her mama. Like, so she... And I could say, like, oh, she taking me for granted. And does what it feel like, because I didn't have one. But it's only because I didn't have a mom to talk back to. And so I think she's privileged in that way, when really it's just normal. But that's where I gotta go back to my 16-year-old self. Like, you didn't have these things. Y'all are living in two totally different realities. Let me heal my 16-year-old self so I can hear her. And can I always do that in real time? No. Sometimes I gotta sit with it. Like, okay, that conversation didn't go how I expected it to go. I flipped out. I yelled at her when really that was my own shit. But those are the woes. When a daughter is confident, that's powerful. Yeah, like when I see how confident she is, I really just be like, you go, girl. Borrow from her to teach your 60-year-old self. It's a miracle. I do. Like, when I say, like, even my daughter has made me, like, more girly, more feminine, I think back to, like, why was I a tomboy as a kid? Because when I think about me as like a little girl, I was very girly and, like, very prissy. Sorry, whatever this is on my eyelash. Am I tripping? I feel like there's something on my eyelash. I was, like, prissy, but then there was a switch where I became closed off, and, like, I didn't want to be seen. And that's what really made me a tomboy. And so like now, seeing my daughter, my daughter has always been girly. My daughter has but I also feel like because of what happened to me in my childhood, I've always loved that about her. So like I always dressed her really like prissy and like dainty. um I've always done like really girly things for her birthday. Like I was just thinking about her birthday because she went to a party this year, which she has something every year for her birthday. But she was saying she wants like a like teenage party. I don't know about that, but we were talking about like all her birthday parties. Like she didn't have a tea party, all kind of stuff. And those are things that like I would have loved to do as a kid. So like now, doing them for her is healing. What a beautiful mother to have. Thank you. Do you find yourself more connected to your daughter than your sons? No. It's a different connection. And this is something like even me and my daughter has had to talk about together and even in therapy. Because on both sides they would both say, oh, you get this type of treatment. Like if I was to talk to the boys, they would say I do certain things with Jameer. I'm talking to Crystal, and I know you know my kids, so I'm saying their names. So my daughter's name is Jameer. If I talk to the boys, they'll say, well, you let Jameer do this, you let Jameer do that. Jameer will also say, well, you let the boys do this, you let the boys do that. And it's like I can't treat them the same. And I have to treat all of them according to their personality. What Jameer needs is not what the boys need. What the boys need is not what Jameer needs. Like there's always especially with the two oldest. My oldest has always been very like school driven, very independent, very he gonna do what he say. He's not sneaky. He's very like no I would say like noble in a way. Like he's just very like I guess responsible. Versus with my daughter, I gotta be on her grades. I gotta be like on her about certain things. So I can't treat them the same. I didn't have to have these conversations with him that I'm having with you. To the feminine connection. Crystal, it's funny that you asked this because I feel like this is what really initiated my healing, honestly. My daughter, like the transition, COVID. Oh, we were home is really when we started having difficulty. 10, 11. Like I don't know if you came in. I was basically saying girls will show you your arrested development because as women we are emotional and we're tied to our emotion. We feel deeply. We express our emotions in a way that men can't and don't. And when she started her cycle, or around that time, so maybe like a year prior to her starting her cycle is really when we started to like bump heads. And I realized that I'm out of my element. Like she's making me crazy. And like I don't know how to parent this. And so I've recognized that and I went to therapy. And in therapy that brought up a lot of my childhood shit. It also was like in tandem with spiritual awakening, all these things, which when I look back, I was just learning how to emotionally mature, honestly. And I think I've been emotionally growing up as she grows up, unfortunately. And I think that's sometimes it's hard on her, it's hard on me. And so honestly, I think it has made us closer. and me relating to her more than I think the boys, because boys are okay with surface level emotion. Like, not that boys don't cause you to go to emotional depths, because I think they do, but men and women and our emotions is totally different. I think how men and boys process their emotions, their network of emotions is still kind of here. As in, women, we live in our emotions. They're deep, they're watery, they're visceral. And boys, they just don't require you to go that deep. And because of that, I have had to do my work. And I continue to have to. But I think as she has gotten older, it has gotten easier. Because I think that, like, from 11 to 13, 14, really, really hard. But 11 to 13, I was in therapy. By 14, 15, she started therapy. And now I think we're in a much better place. Because also part of that in me emotionally maturing is now she's having to also course correct the things that she learned prior to me becoming more emotionally mature. So, like, it's a course correction for both of us, because and I guess this kind of tying into what I was talking about in terms of emotional baseline. I would say when the kids were younger, so even for her when she was younger, instead of helping them navigate difficult emotions, I soothed them. And so if she would ask for something, her in particular, if she would ask for something and I say no, and instead of taking that no, processing that no, taking it as a loss, she would ask, maybe later? And I would say, yeah. And I would say, yeah, just to, like, go on here, girl. Like, yeah, maybe later. Instead of just saying no and being firm with that no so she could take the no, she now has to process what it means now to respect my boundary. If I say no, I mean no, and you're gonna have to deal with what it feels like to sit in that no. And so, like, even now, that's something that came up in therapy, is like, when I say no, respect the no. And so now when she asks, like, maybe later, I have to reiterate, respect the no, respect my no. So, like, creating and establishing boundaries with her is also how I have started to establish boundaries across the board with everybody. So, like, doing this work is for your kids, but it will change your life all the way around. And so I think a lot of women will say, like, boys are more affectionate and they love their moms in a different way. They do, but they will not challenge you to go deeper. So, like, the hugs and the kisses and the physical affection and even the affirming you, like, my boys are always telling me, like, Mommy, you look beautiful today. Even my 5-year-old, like, your eyebrows look nice today. So, like, they're always affirming you in that way. Girls challenge you in self-acceptance. Girls challenge you in self-abandonment. Girls challenge you in a internal way of, like, what do you believe about yourself? Because your daughter will reflect to you those beliefs, and if you don't like them, or challenge your beliefs, because like I said, my daughter is confident, so, like, it's going to challenge my belief of, like, I think for some women it might make them jealous, but for me, seeing my daughter so confident is also like, why I don't feel that way about myself? Why have I not embraced my softness in this way? My son asks questions which help me go deeper to understand the why. My 10-year-old is very, I feel like, emotionally intelligent. I think each of my kids have taught me different things about my emotions. So, like, I had to live a couple weeks ago about like the difference between emotional intelligence and emotional depth. So, like, emotional intelligence is being able to identify how you feel and understand it. But emotional depth is actually being able to feel it. So, like, yes, my 10-year-old specifically is really good at expressing himself and identifying how he feels. And he's always been this way. Like I've said before, like, even as a 2, 3-year-old, he would say exactly how he would feel. He would also tell me exactly what he needed. So, like, if he was sad about someone, he was mad, he having a temper tantrum, I would ask him, like, are you mad right now? He would say, yeah. Do you need a hug right now? Yes. My 5-year-old now, he's very fiery, though. Like, my 10-year-old is a Virgo. So, also, I feel like we have that type of connection, too, because we relate to each other. But my 5-year-old is a Leo, and he's very fiery. And if he is upset, he having a tantrum, I ask this nigga, do you need a hug? He's going to say, no, I'm angry. I don't want a hug. And that is my cue to say, then go, be angry then, or just allow him to have his tantrum, because if whether I allow him to or not, he gonna have his tantrum. Yeah, I think girls teach you how to feel your feelings, and if you don't feel your feelings, it's gonna be a conflict. So, like, prior to my daughter starting her period, I would say I probably had a certain level of emotional intelligence. I didn't have the emotional depth that I do now. I think she has brought out the feeling part of it. And versus with her, I think our struggle is she feels deeply, but she can't identify how she feels. And that is what we're working on now, which is also still challenging. But yeah, this is why I say, like, motherhood is shadow work. And I don't know if you're still in here, but I'll say it just for the sake of saving the life. But someone had asked, for women who choose not to have children, and if we look at motherhood as shadow work, for the women who choose, I think it's I respect it, and it's inspiring, because you don't need children to walk you home, that you are choosing to do that work yourself. In some ways, I also think it is avoidance. There are some women who are doing the work all on their own, and they perhaps don't have as much shadow work to do. And then there are women who may be destined or energetically pulled to motherhood and rejected because of the work it would ensue. And this is why, if we're talking about it from like energetic standpoint, though I have no judgment about abortions or anything like that, but I think when you get an abortion, it is either the abortion itself is going to bring up that shadow work, or it will delay the shadow work for another time. And like, so either way, motherhood will bring out shadow work, whether or not you keep the baby or not. which is also why I have no judgment about shadow work, because whatever that life came through you for is also it didn't just take a lifetime for you to get that. You got it quick. it didn't take all of that. So yeah, that I think wraps it up. I feel like we went left because this ain't even what I had set out to talk about. But this was fun. I like to talk about the ways children help you heal and the spiritual energetics around it, because I think it's deeply spiritual and magical in a way. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed. What was I gonna say? I said I gotta start pedaling, I guess, too. So if today resonated, especially when it comes to like the emotional regulation and learning your baseline, expanding and raising your capacity, if you would like to work with me a couple ways in that realm of emotional regulation, I offer pattern recognition readings, which would identify what patterns are keeping you stuck or stagnant or not allowing you to expand your capacity, what areas would help you. I also offer just one-on-one spiritual advice. Sometimes you don't necessarily need insight as far as reading, but in one-on-ones, I kind of look at it from a zoomed out picture. So whatever it is that you may be going through, trying to bring some harmony into it to where you can see both sides. And that's kind of just a conversation, not so much a reading. And then my favorite is, I still don't know what to call this. I've been calling it soul retrieval / regressions. Right now on my website it's just listed as regressions, but it's basically going back in time to process old emotions. And so a lot of what I talked about in terms of having to go back to my 11-year-old self, my 16-year-old self, Hey Alicia Pisha was doing that work of having to go back, process the emotions that I was not able to process at the time so that I can emotionally mature. My regressions are really good for that. And it is a way of calling those pieces back home. And typically what happens in those sessions is I will guide you into a meditative state or a hypnotic state, which is just our theta state that we go into that allows us to access our subconscious, aka our Akashic records, and process old emotions. And that typically allows you to flourish in the ways that probably was hindering you. And so it allows you to emotionally regulate and expand and mature. So all of those three are the things that I'm offering right now. If you are interested, my website is linked in my description box. And I'm doing a workshop. I'm doing a workshop April 6th which will be about womb healing and womb wisdom. Not so much healing, but reconnecting to your womb to access the Akashic records, because they are two different things. So there is the mind subconscious records, which is like the subconscious, the mental body, but then there is our womb space, our body's subconscious memory, and that is how you access like your family, your maternal line, genetic memory. And so I'll be teaching how to access that in the workshop, which I'm really, really excited about. Whenever I do a workshop, I have to do it on myself first, and I'm so excited for it. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, sign up. It's $66. I'll be talking about it more and more, especially next week. But yeah, I shall see y'all soon. I'll be back Thursday. I'm going to be talking about wrapping up the Mercury retrograde and whatever insights come between now and then. So, all right. See y'all Thursday.